said what I said.
I said what I said, and I mean what I mean.
Right. I'm Sierra.
I'm Alicia.
And we're about to get into it, y'all. So today we're going to be talking about toxic masculinity and toxic femininity.
And toxic relationships and how we as masculine and feminine come together and create toxic ass time bombs. Okay? How we need to get our together. Answer.
Toxic masculinity would be a masculine energy that a man possesses that is not healthy, and vice versa with the feminine aspect of it. What do you think your take would be on it?
I think that it doesn't have any gender role. I think that masculinity and femininity is equivalent to any person who is portraying a masculine or feminine role. So you can be dominant in an aspect, or I would say more so passive in an aspect, or more conforming to an aspect, which would cause you to be more feminine. Mm-hmm. And it just depends on whatever situation that you're in within that time frame. Mm-hmm. As far as masculinity, I think that goes as far as what you do in terms of how you handle situations. If you get the job done physically, you know, what physical aspects you take on. Mm-hmm. Women tend to be more in tune with their spirituality than men do their physicality. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up spirituality. So from a spirituality aspect, what you said is so correct. In every living organism on earth, or just everything on earth, there is a masculine aspect to it and a feminine aspect to it. So every human being has masculine traits and feminine traits. The masculine trait is action. You going and you doing and you executing something that you're trying to do. The feminine aspect of it is you thinking and you creating that thought in your head. So once you create that thought in your head, that's the feminine aspect. And when you start to actually create whatever invention or whatever it is that you thought of in your head, that's the physical aspect, because you're taking that's the action aspect of it, because you're taking action to create it. Mm-hmm. So really it's something that we all have. I think some people like you have males that feel like they have to be total masculine and they abandon their feminine aspects of themselves because they may think like it's gay, or you know, whatever reasons that society teaches you to not embrace those feminine aspects of yourself. But that's when you create that unbalance, you know, because a man should have some type of nurturing side to him as well, but he should also be able to go into action when it's time. And the same thing for a woman, you know, there's going to be different times and different places for it. But I think the whole core of the toxic masculinity and toxic femininity is not having that balance between the two.
And I was going to say that too. I'm glad that you spoke about balance, because as a human being, you do need that balance between masculine and feminine, you know, because when you think of the central being of a person is parenting, you know, so you need that balance from each parent. You need that feminine and that masculine in order to even be able to understand and articulate to that child originally, you know, and before the child becomes a child, you know, that baby, you need that masculine feminine balance. So how am I able, every parent should be able to nurture their child, regardless of whether it be masculine or feminine. You know, you should have that in you. You should be able, male or female is what I mean. You should be able to nurture your child,
right?
Regardless of whether a male or a female is present,
right?
Whatever you are, you should be able to nurture your child, because feel like nurturing is a form of love,
right,
and compassion? Can I portray love towards my child? Can my child understand that I have a certain level of compassion towards them to where nothing else matters but them and their well-being?
right.
You know?
And I also want to bring up Kevin Samuels. Kevin Samuels is a hot topic right now when it comes to the masculine and feminine. Are you familiar with Kevin Samuels?
That's a man who gets a lot of backlash for disrespecting women.
Right.
But I like him, though. I actually like him. And I don't agree with everything that he says, but I do like the fact that he triggers people to get them to think differently and think outside the box. And to get some people to, even myself included, to think, wait a minute, where do I stand in society? It's not always about how you feel about yourself, but what is it that other people may be thinking about you too? Because if you are presenting yourself to another being, how are they perceiving you?
Right, right.
That's very important.
Right, yeah, perception is key. How you're presenting yourself is key. But also, I feel like knowing thyself is key, because Kevin Samuels is a perfect example of, if you don't know yourself, somebody else is going to figure that out for you. You know, I feel like in certain,
like Bible to me.
I feel like in certain ways, like I can't say if his intentions are truly genuine or if there is like some conspiracy behind it. But I just looking at it, the YouTube community and what it has created, it seems like it's almost his energy and his presence and his conversation has almost created this, you know, battle of the sexes, men versus women. And it's not a competition. We're supposed to work together, and it's supposed to be a collective effort with each other. Where it's not one versus the other. And to me, that in itself is toxic. You know, I don't know if that was his intentions, but that from my observation, that's what I'm perceiving. I do feel like some people do need hard love, and in some cases, he does have good points. But like you said, there are some things that I don't agree with. Like, for example, when he says, and this goes back to, if you don't know who you are, somebody will decide that for you. So you better
tell the truth and shame the devil.
Get familiar with that with yourself. You know, so he'll say, like, you know, men, they don't care about how much you earn, or you know, or maybe that's not him. I know it's these other two guys, Fresh and Fit. I was watching them. Yeah, they're friends with Kevin Samuels, and they have this show to where they have all of these women that come on, and a lot of them are like Instagram famous models, I'll say, and some of them, to try to just put this as nicely as possible, are airheads. They're not the smartest people on the show, like, but they are a lot of very beautiful women that a lot of men aspire to get with or would like to get with.
They're eye candy.
Right. And they said on the show, which I'm assuming that Kevin Samuels may agree with them because they seem like they share very similar views. I heard them say that, Fresh and Fit on their show, like that men do not care if a woman is ambitious or if she's a very high earner, because if you're dealing with a high value man that has all of this money, that's not something that they would care about. They just are more so concerned with a woman being submissive and letting them be with other women. I don't think that that's right, that a guy would say that no high value man is interested in someone a high value man being not interested in a woman that's ambitious and that has her own money and that is earning six figures.
Why wouldn't he want to match?
Yeah, I don't think that every man doesn't care about that. There's a lot of men who do care about that.
I come into a lot of men who come into that have come to that conclusion, I believe.
Yeah, and it's just a matter of your perspective. Now,
but it also this goes to, are they high value men though? What
Right.
are they signifying as high value men?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, what considers you high value. And one thing that I did hear Kevin Samuels say is that, like, oh, if you're over 30 and you have kids, you know, nobody really wants you.
He said if you are a certain height and you weigh a certain weight, no. Don't nobody want you.
Yeah, and I don't think that's true too. There's a lot of men who cannot have kids or do not want kids, and they would prefer to be with a woman who already has kids, or they may not care about a woman having other kids. I know plenty of people in my family that have birthed kids with women that have already had kids. So that is not something that I don't want women to look at that and think like, because you're over 30, because you have kids, or because you're overweight and this and that, nobody will want you. It's different strokes for different folks. Everybody has their own preference, and it's, you know, somebody out there for everybody. Now what I do agree with him is people, like, you can't be a rhinestone looking for a diamond.
You can't be a nickel out here looking for a dime. Shout out to, what's his name?
Kevin Samuels?
No, not Kevin. You heard her?
I don't know what you said.
Shout out to Life Jennings.
Right.
You can't be a nickel out here looking for a dime. And that's what I want to really delve into. You know? That's what it really is. That's where the reality sits in with him, with Kevin Samuels. I really appreciate him for being honest about, you know, men aren't as genuine as we are. You know, we're looking at the core for what God created you as, and then men are like, yeah, you fine. You look good. I could smack that ass around.
Yeah. And back to this whole battle of the sexes thing, I feel like a lot of people get caught up in, well, who started it? Well, women is the problem. Men are the problem.
No,
we are both
we
the
are
problem. It's a collective, you know, and as a collective, we both are the problem. So everybody needs to stop pointing the finger at everyone and go back to yourself and say, what can I do to contribute to creating a better reality for our environment? So for example, you know, you got a lot of men that say, oh, these women, they're gold diggers and they don't care and they're trying to be men and they're too masculine. From my life observation from being on earth, as long as I have been on earth.
As a what woman?
As a woman.
Outside of that, because it's not just a woman. What kind of woman are you? Let's be real. You're a black woman. And it gets thrown to the wayside too much. You know? That's a whole nother level.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
The things that we deal with, the trauma that we witness.
Yeah.
The things that we experience.
Yeah.
We are to be on another level.
Right.
We have to go about these ways and fend for ourselves. Because not many people are going to come to aid in our demise.
Yeah, you do. I do feel like that is part of it. Part of it that I was going to touch too. Like, you know, as far as a black woman, I do feel like black women are the less defended people out of everyone, because you have other races who do defend their women. And I feel like black men do not defend us as much as other races. So that is one thing, you know, us not feeling protected, you know, us not feeling as wanted and desired, us being abandoned, you know. So you have a lot of women who pick up these masculine traits because it's a sense of survival.
I'm certainly
a survival technique, you know, like, oh, well, you got some women that get with the man, they get dogged out, they want to be with all of these women and not commit. So as a way of protecting their heart, they say, okay, well, I'm going to do that. I'm going to be with all of these men. I'm not going to commit because I don't want to be hurt. You know, that's a survival technique.
A defense mechanism.
A defense mechanism, right. And, you know, when you're left to fend for yourself and you have a child that you have to raise, you know, you have to go into action and to do certain things because you don't have that masculine person in the home or that masculine energy in the home. So it's a matter of, do I fulfill this void, or do I be helpless and looking for someone to be my captain save-a-hoe?
So you feel like Black women don't really have an option for balance?
I don't think. Well, I feel like the lack of balance is a chain reaction and a cause and effect, and it's not even just with the Black community. It's like it's becoming a cultural thing at this point with just society. And when you have a woman that's been scorned so many times, at what point, you know, at some point, some women will say, well, fuck these dudes. Sure. I don't care about these dudes. I'm taking my heart out of it. I'm taking my feelings out of it because his feelings clearly is not in it.
I mean, they're clearly saying, fuck these dudes, I'm gonna fuck this bitch.
And it's almost like subconsciously when it happens. And then once society has created this person, then you want to demonize her for just trying to survive, you know. And I'm not saying that men don't have their struggles on why they are how they are, you know, but as a woman, I can talk about a woman perspective more than I could talk about a man perspective. So I just have to go and bring it into that point first.
And mainly because men don't even talk about what it is that they're going through. You know, it's like pulling teeth in order to get a man to address what's going on.
But as far as the on the guy side, because I feel like we talked a lot about the feminine side of it, with the toxic side of, with the masculine side of it, there is a big attack against masculinity. We were talking about this earlier. All food is wrapped in plastic. Plastic has female hormones in it, and you would wonder why all of these young boys are feeling feminine and being more feminine. You know, they're digesting these foods that's absorbing these toxic chemicals. And once you are digesting that, now you have all of this estrogen in you. You also have estrogen that's in the Similac, you know, and a lot of babies drink Similac, you know, and a lot of people you have a lot of young boys having these feminine urges at very young ages, and they're thinking they're just born this way, not knowing it's been systemic at this point. I feel like, because, you know, at some point somebody had to know that it was going to be some type of cause and effect, having estrogen in Similac and having all of these wrapping all of this food in plastic.
But what's really the deal? What are we doing wrong? You know, I learned from critical experiences, condoms are valuable. Laying down with the appropriate person is valuable. You know, don't lay down with anybody. Don't lay down with a person who would deny their child. Do not lay down with a man who would think that it's okay to pick and choose when to see their kid.
Yeah, and then and when you talk about like gold diggers and women that want to be with men that are high earners,
I wish they had some gold for me to dig for.
But they may, like, women who want high earners, but they're not high earners themselves. Most women will say, oh, well, you know, that's part of hypergamy. Hypergamy has been around since the beginning of time, which is basically a woman that would marry a man because he was able to provide and to protect. You know, and
I don't think there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it's nothing wrong. It's nothing wrong with being with someone who can provide and protect for you. But I do think, like, people have turned it into like this toxic femininity sort of thing, to where it's like women are valuing money more than a man. And in some cases that is true. You know, So if you are someone that is into hypergamy, not only do you have to think about the financial stability, but you also have to think about what genes am I passing on to my baby? What genes am I passing on to my
They don't just fade away.
And this is what I mean by a high value man. You can't just stop at a person that's high earning. I consider a high value man, that's somebody I would be proud to pass the genes along to my baby.
That's some good stuff. That's some good stuff right there, because it don't just stop at, maybe he having a good season, right? Maybe he just came up within this season. And then you figure you want to hop on a bandwagon. But if he ain't had that in him, it ain't been genetically inclined, for him to continuously produce that, then your child probably won't have it either. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I've been saying a long time. I said, man, I know I got it in me. My daddy had it in me. It was a natural born thing that not just this season, but in spite of the odds, in spite of what it looked like, I'm going to make something out of nothing regardless of where I am.
Yeah.
And I want to say, personally, that's a black gene.
Yeah.
There's a lot of confusion going on, but the reality is you need that balance. Regardless of what you do, I'm not the judge. I'm just the messenger. You need balance. Whatever what it is that you do, you need balance.
Yeah, we're not here to indoctrinate you. We're not here to think for you. We're not here to persuade you on one side of the argument or another, but we're just here to promote critical thinking and for you guys to think about this yourself and to come up with your own thought yourself. Not what I said, not what she said, not what Kevin Samuels said, not what Fresh and Fit said, not what anybody said. But what is it that you think?